Well, this is the first time I've seen one of these. This is a tombolo. Apparently it's where sand or shingle is deposited between an island and the mainland. This one is here and only very occasionally gets covered by the tide, even although the tide is on both sides. Yep, it's as windy as it sounds.
Well, welcome to another day on Old Ruin Travels. Today you find us in the south of Shetland, a place called Jarlshof. A very historic site, so let's go in and have a look at 4,000 years of history in one place.
Jarlshof is a traditional Norse-sounding name, but no. It was actually named Jarlshof, which means the Earl's Mansion, only in 1814 by, of all people, Sir Walter Scott. At that time, only the mansion house was visible. It was only a lot later when archaeologists began excavating the site. They found that the mansion wasn't the only thing of interest here.
We were just talking to the chap in the visitor centre at Jarlshof, and he was saying they've done some more carbon dating and now dates back 5,500 years rather than 4. So it's a microcosm of Scottish history. This is the outline of a Neolithic house. That black mark apparently is the old fire, and behind it the quernstone where used to grain used to be ground for food. It dates back 4,000 to 5,500 years ago. And more examples of the quernstones. They're just moving into the next part, which dates back to 1500 to 2000 years ago, but things haven't changed all that much here. This is into the smithy, again, the quernstones lying around. But they'd moved on from just having cattle and sheep to having pigs and ponies as well, apparently. So they were moving up in the world and expanding their diet. Well, their houses were cosy to say the least. Now moving to around 400 BC, we find an Iron Age broch. Very typical of a very unique Scottish building. This is where we go in between the two walls of the broch. Two walls helped protection and insulation from the weather, which is a bit wild, as you've noticed in places like Shetland. We're outside the broch now, in a different part, more sheltered, with a later house built right next to the old broch. This is a wheelhouse. You can see why it was called that. The central area and the different rooms, like the spokes of a wheel. This type of building was only ever found in the north and west of Scotland. As we look up, we see the top of the walls move in, forming a corbel. On top of that would be a stone slab, and on top of the stone slab there would be turf, which would weigh everything down and help and insulate the living quarters from the elements. Over there are the graves of the Bruce family, right next to Pictish archaeology. The Picts were about 600 AD. And there was a stone found here apparently that had a cross incised on it, showing the arrival of Christianity to the site. Even in Shetland, there's a traffic jam of people I will go into a more complete wheelhouse. You can really see the corbelling now. This much more complete wheelhouse. The capstone and the turf, as I was talking about. You really can hardly hear the sea or the wind from in here. It's just so sheltered. We were doing this 2,000 years ago. Amazing. This is just a farm and a few cottages dating back to about 1300, when the Norse came across as tourists with large ships and armies. Time to look at the elephant in the room that we've seen from all over the site. Well, let's go up and have a good overview of the site. And across the runway. And here we are at Scalloway Castle. It's closed, but fortunately it's next to Scalloway Museum, which is also closed. So what's our basic idea of Scalloway? Shut. I'll maybe have a wander down to the harbour since the castle failed. There is quite a smell of fish about this place. Amazing to think this was the capital of Shetland before Lerwick. I wonder what this is. Right into town, I think. See if we can find somewhere to have a coffee.
This monument is here to commemorate the Shetland bus. It's made from stones from 44 different places in Norway. The bus itself was a clandestine World War II Special Operations Unit. They used fishing boats to transport agents, weapons and refugees across the North Sea between Nazi-occupied Norway and Shetland. It primarily operated from Scalloway here and made over 200 crossings, heavily aiding the Norwegian resistance. Every year, on the 17th of May, which is Norway's Independence Day, wreaths are laid by Norwegians who come over to commemorate the brave men that died. It all started with 14 fishing boats of various sizes. The original Shetland bus boat, the Askill, skippered by August Neroy, departed for Bergen from Hamnefo on the west side of Lunanes on the 30th of August 1941. On the 9th of May 1945, the boat Vigra entered the harbour of Lingøy, near Bergen, in free Norway. The group had made 198 trips to Norway in fishing boats and submarine chasers.
Why go that way if you should just go exact? Should we just tighten that hole? In here? Yeah.
Bit more complete than the Brock at Jarlshof. Well, good morning on Old Rune Travels. We're heading home again today. The ferry's at 7, so we're going to spend a little bit of time going down to the very south point of Shetland and see what happens. Weather's not brilliant, but we've got raincoats and we have hats and we've got a car, so not going to be a problem. Unfortunately, there's no access to the lighthouse unless it's an open day, and today is not an open day. these are the engines that drove the foghorn. But what did it sound like? This is a smithy. Looks really interesting. Let's have a look around. The lighthouse lighters. Just a bit early for the puffins here. They've just started arriving. Right, we'll head over to the World War II post on Sunburgh Head. There's quite an interesting history about this too. A small hut, but it was very important during World War II. This is the East radar hut, and that's the actual original radar from 1945. A little bit of history. Not much chance of seeing anything today. Well, Sunburgh Head is a really good place to visit. It's interesting, it's relatively cheap, and they have a lovely cafe. So, all happy.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our little trip to Lerwick and the south side of the mainland on Shetland. We found it really interesting. There is so much more to experience and explore, and this is just a small part of it. So, if, like us, you're fascinated by Shetland, why not visit? It's a truly fascinating archipelago. Remember and subscribe, like this video, share it, do what you need to do just to help me grow this little page. We'll see you next week on another little boat journey, but this time slightly closer to home.